Yes, everybody, Russ on the West Ham Network. Hope you're all safe and well. Happy Friday. It's Friday, peeps. We have done it. We have done another week. Congratulations. And obviously we play Chelsea at the weekend. 12:30 kickoff. Early start for the button. Early start for the button tomorrow. But yeah, very much looking forward to it. But it's Have Your Say Friday. The idea of Have Your Say Friday is for you to have your say. It's that simple. There's lots to talk about as well, and there's a couple of ways you can have your say. You can make your comments in the video, in the live chat. You can join us live. You can join us live, where you can come on camera, or you can give us a bell. If I can remember what the phone number is, let me just copy that. Or you can give us a call. You give us a bell, and we can have a little natter as well. Let me just quickly sort this out. Quickly. Call us. I feel like I'm on like a babe station. But you can call us. It's your show, so you can talk whatever you want. Obviously, usually it's to do with the game, but you might want to talk about something else, life in general. You know, we are but a community, so we will talk about anything. Just put in, or I'll just put in the international code as well. There we go. Let's see what we got in the chat. Good afternoon to you, Leslie. Hope you are well. Hope you are excited for the football. Darren, hope you're well too. Nice to see you, mate. Nice to see you. Just want to start with no changes urgently needed. Yes, very true. Very true. And again, it's something I've spoken about before. If you look at the game on against Fulham, you can see after. Let me just put my head down a little bit. There we go. After about 20 minutes, he turned and basically told Paqueta to start warming up, and that's what I want. I want, mistakes are mistakes, but they have to be learned, and you can only see if they've learned the mistake is if we see the team sheet tomorrow and it's not Alvarez, Rodriguez, Souček. I don't mind two of the three playing, but for me, it's like, yeah, it's a little bit. It's difficult, really, isn't it? Because I mean, I've just tried to put together the starting lineup for tomorrow, and I could have put half a dozen 11s together, realistically, because we don't really know the whereabouts or the nature of Emerson's injury. Volkrig, a little bit of information. Jack Rossier from The Sun basically said during the press conference, the sort of the embargo section, he pushed hard for Lopetegui to give some update on Nicholas, and by all accounts he was training, but we just don't know, and it does get me. I mean, I saw Jay I'm a bit nervous as well. It's two teams playing against each other who don't really know what side we're going to be playing against each other, which could make it really interesting and really exciting to watch. Afternoon, Stuart from a sunny Malden. Yeah, it's a sunny Hornchurch here. I think this is the last bastion of the summer. Looks like it's going to start getting cold from my birthday onwards. Did I mention my birthday next week? Give me some good news. Soufal injured. I don't know about Soufal or Souček. I don't think either are injured. I don't think Antonio's injured either, Ralph. I'm really sorry. But I would hope none of those three start tomorrow. Don't want to be on the bench, but I hope none of them start tomorrow. Because if Soufal starts, that means that Emerson's injured because Wan-Bissaka will be on the left wing. If Souček starts, it means he hasn't learned his lesson, and it probably means Paqueta's not starting. And if Antonio starts, then you'd assume that he's giving him a stay of execution. I mean, but he was hooked off after 45 minutes last week, albeit he did play two international games, I know, but it wasn't a great performance for him. or Souček either. I'm actually Hammer's headlines. There was an interesting article. I think Shane Thomas from Athletics put together an article about Antonio and Lopetegui and his thoughts towards him, and it's quite interesting. So we'll take that to Hammer's headlines later on. Excited for tomorrow. We'll turn up against. It's bloody well out. So Jay, we need to, man. Normally on a Friday we'll be talking about the game on Thursday. Yes, we will, ladders, next year, mate. Back in Europe next year, mate. Don't worry. Back in Europe. Yeah, it is. And Friday was always a really chaotic time because you'd obviously have talking about the game on Thursday, and then there'd be the press conference on the Friday lunchtime for the Sunday game. It's a lot more relaxed at the moment, but I know what you mean. A week seems a long time to not have football in it, where we're so used to having the Sunday, Thursday games. Ings should start tomorrow against Chelsea. It was him that saved the day. It was John. It was, and someone like Danny Ings, this new setup, new way of playing. If he's actually utilised for what he's good at in terms of being that striker, being that fox in the box, then he could easily get 10 goals this season. You know what I mean? Like those sort of coming off the bench or playing or starting for the cup games. And, as long as it's very similar to Fulkrug, Fulkrug, Nicholas says that, he needs people to assist him. And same Zings, he's not going to create something out of nothing. And, you saw that touch, that first touch, basically, that was a striker's touch that set him up nicely for the equaliser against Fulham. It could be an option that Danny starts. In the same way, Bowen can start up front and they can move the pack around a little behind him. Afternoon, Michael, hope you're well. It could be a cracking game, or we could get battered, or we could win. I'll take a draw. Either or, Matthew. You've just gone through every eventuality there, my friend. The moment I wake up before I say a little prayer for you, I certainly do, Danny. Always. Now our FAs are wishing certain players are injured just to satisfy themselves. So now our fans are wishing certain. No, not at all, Captain. No. He's just. I know where Ralph's coming from. Sometimes when a player gets injured, it can cause a ripple effect and can change some things. How many times have we put players in weird positions because they've had to and they've just adapted? Remember last year, was it Ben Johnson played CDM for a couple of games? It was brilliant. That would never happen if there wasn't injuries elsewhere. And so, not at all, Captain. Not called Captain Caveman. I just want to see some of you start. Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. I think some of it was impressed. I think it was an interview I was reading from Tim Stein, or an article about Tim Stein, who apparently has spoken to Somerville and challenged him to basically make the same type of impact that Kudus made when he joined us a year ago. And we can only do that if he's on the pitch. But he has apparently been very impressive in training. I thought his cameo was really good against Fulham last week. So let's see. This morning, I've been going for my best 11 of all time I've seen live. Well, obviously, Miami's 11. That's sort of what that's about. Not necessarily the best 11, but your 11, because sometimes the best players aren't necessarily the best players that I put to my heart. They might be cult heroes, players I always loved. And that's why we did that. That's why we still do it. We've had over 500 interviews maybe complete. Over 100 ex-players as well. We've got a few more lined up, which I'm really looking forward to in the next few weeks, hopefully. So, it's always, and that's why I put your caveat rather than the best 11 you've been alive to see. Because otherwise, everyone's 11 would be the same. I would, if I was a West Ham all-time 11, Bobby Moore would be in there. Trevor Brooking will be in there. Alan Devonshire will be in there. But I never saw any of them play. I wasn't fortunate enough to see Bobby Moore play. I wasn't fortunate enough to see Tonka play. I wasn't fortunate. Cotty did, yeah. Wasn't fortunate enough to see McAvenny play in his pomp. But I was lucky enough to see Gary Breen and Javier Marquez. So, small mercies. Two teams with no system, so who knows what happened. Hopefully, Fit don't want Souček or Mickey to start. Ings before Mickey. It's me done with the old guard starting now. But sometimes it unfortunately does take something like that, an injury or a suspension, to change managers' ways of thinking. Do you remember we signed Tilo Kira? And Boys refused to play him right back. But there was an injury, and then he played England. He played right back, and that was the position he was really good at. But we brought him as a centre half, and so sometimes these things have a weird sort of serendipitous sliding doors moment, and it's something's needed like that to then almost force the changing of the guard. Stu's gone for 2-1 win. European football return, but we will have to finish in top six. I mean, I've said it. Yeah, my expectations of this year are that it's for me. It's a minimum, a minimum of what's the name, minimum of Europe. To be honest, I can't. For me, in terms of what we spent, that type of thing, I think it's an absolute minimum of Europe. Whether that's in the league position or whether that's in winning the cup. And they could be like buses. We waited 40 odd years for one, and another one could have come a few years later after the first one, after the latest one. So for me, that is a minimum requirement, I think. And it's a minimum requirement for Lopetegui as well, because his contract is heavily stacked in terms of renewal based on getting into Europe. If he gets into Europe the first 2 years, he's automatically got a third year or something like that. So it's in his best interest to do this as well. Thank you. Was that reference to my Javier Marquez and Gary Breen? And in fact, anyone who's a channel member, obviously we've been putting out you get a weekly podcast. We've done the worst transfers 11 of West Ham. And then last week we spoke about, only at West Ham. That was what it was called. All those sort of things, Michael Antonio crashing his Lamborghini dressed as a snowman, and all these things only at West Ham, and it was went on for hours. I saw Tony make his debut New Year's Day '83. You're not old enough, Danny. Surely must have been an amoeba. Must have been a sperm in your dad's ballsack. Surely, would love to win a cup. I think we all would love to win a cup. Football isn't itself about winning. I think it was the Moose said something once to me, and it sort of resonated. He went, "You don't get a trophy for finishing fourth. You get into the Champions League, but you don't get a trophy for finishing fourth." And that's very true. You don't get you don't get a trophy for qualifying for the Conference League. You get a trophy if you win the Conference League, and vice versa. The FA Cup. It's not getting into the Europa League. It's about winning the FA Cup, and football is inherently about winning. If he starts for the team we hope for, beat Chelsea, I see a top 7 finish the next year. You mean this year or this season? Okay, fair enough. Splitting hairs. I agree, Ralph. I mean, I was looking at our players, and I can't remember who he was talking about the other day. I can't remember who he was talking to, and I was talking about who we could play, and we could put him here, or Soler comes in, or Paqueta, or Kudus, and Somerville. We even forgot about Luis Guilherme, and and someone said to me, "Isn't that nice? Just doing that? Isn't that nice? Thinking about all the options rather, under previous regimes, it was very much one way or the highway. Where there's, as I said, I could have picked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I reckon about 10 different combinations of 11s. As I said, there's certain players who are nailed in, aren't they? Areola nailed in. Emerson nailed in when fit. Kilman nailed in. Wan-Bissaka nailed in. That's 4. Bowen nailed in. Kudus nailed in. Alvarez nailed in. Paqueta nailed in. Possibly for some games, possibly not. So there's about 6 or 7 players there who are the name of the team sheet. Those other 5, whether it's Todibo or Mavropanos. Ideally, I want it to be Todibo, but you might Mavropanos. You might play Rodriguez in the second midfielder. You might play Soler. You might play Paqueta. You look in the sort of the 3 behind the striker. You could have Somerville on the left, Kudus on the left. You could have Kudus in the middle, Paqueta in the middle, Soler in the middle. You could have Bowen on the right. You could have Kudus on the right. You could have Luis Guilherme on the right. You could have Luis Guilherme to 10 or a left wing as well. Up front, you could have Antonio. You could have Falk. You could have Bowen. You could have Ings. You can have Paqueta as a false 9. We've done that before. So many combinations. And if we can't have no sort of inkling about what's happening. How's Enzo gonna be Escobar tomorrow? How's he going to decide what team to put up? Expectations are high, and I think they're right, and I think rightly so. To be honest, come on, they should be high. We've spent well. We've had a big turnaround. We've had a new head coach brought in. We've had players in and out. It's about 22 players or so changeover. 13 out, 9 in. Could be more. Well, actually, you could probably say 10. Is it 10 including Kante? Obviously, he's back playing for Paris FC. Could be more as well. We spoke about Omar Soler rather. We also spoke about, Jean Matip. I wouldn't be surprised if we still see it. And obviously, you can sign, and I got this clarified, you can sign players if they're in free transfer or under 21s, and they can automatically qualify for the Premier League squad as long as there's space available in that squad. We want Kudus play central on the right. See him get a goal. We need enthusiastic Kudus back. But part of me, Brian, quite like pissed off Kudus as well, because it's almost like he wants to go, fuck it, I'll do it myself. And I quite like that in some respects. Sometimes I wish he's just like, not just head down all the time, but it could be a factor, as he said. He's trying to almost do it all himself. We know he's wasted on the left-hand side. We know we've got Somerville to come in. I would like Kudus to play centrally as well, and I would like Bone on the right. And then ideally, you'd put Paqueta as the number 8, or sometimes you play double pivot. Paqueta, I think, is essential, obviously, to that sort of turnaround in results from the second half, from the first half to the second half against Fulham. He came on and straight away foot of the ball, passing through the lines, was joining the sort of the CDM role line with the striking the forward line, and he was there just putting the balls through. And he's critical, but as I said the other day, I said yesterday, come January, you might have him anymore now. We don't know, So, for me, it's not about building a team around Paqueta, because we don't know what's going to happen. There's enough players to build, and utilize Paqueta, not necessarily build a team around him, because the game plan's out the fucking window in January. It could be. So North Bank watching the carnage in the South Bank, indeed. Do you think moving from there could be the spark needed? Totally, Leslie. Just to sort of clarify Brian's point. For me, Kudus is wasted on the left-hand side, and I don't know whether it was a reluctance, over-reliance maybe on Kudus. I mean, there's no surprising. It's not surprising. You give him the ball, he gets 4 or 5 men around him straight away, which is mental. So if you think quick thinking there's got to be some gaps somewhere who's not being picked up. I think Kudus on the left was a stopgap. Is a stopgap. The expectation is that Somerville makes that his own, and then it's going to be easy to see what happens with Kudus, Paqueta, Bowen. That 3. The simplest way would be to put Bowen up top, Kudus on the right, Paqueta at the 10. However, we have spent £25 million on a striker, 31-year-old German international, and that may put into question that. The other option is, as I said, Kudus as a 10, Bowen as a right, Folks up front, Paqueta as an 8. And what about Carlos Soler? But that's great, and so we do have amazing options, but we've got options to change things as well if it's not working. Fulham, that selection didn't work. And I think everyone, whether you're pro Lopetegui, against Lopetegui, everyone thought that was a mistake. That was a mistake. And he knew it was a mistake. He could see, for me, he was almost trying to juggle players who have come back from international duty late with trying to still get a result from the Fulham game. And so he thought, play it defensive and we'll nick a goal. Yes, that was the mantra of a certain previous manager rather than head coach. But I think that was for the case of get this one out of the way. And unfortunately, we've only got a few more weeks. Then we've got another international break, and then we've got a few more weeks back, and then we've got another international break. Don't forget it's a 2-game week next week as well. We have obviously the Liverpool game on my birthday away in the Carabao Cup, and then obviously Brentford away on the weekend. So I wouldn't be. I mean, I think Fulham. I think the Liverpool game you're going to see a lot of changes. Obviously, being the Carabao Cup, and the likes of some of the players. Maybe a start for Carlos Soler, for example. The likes of Sufal might get a run out. Maybe even I don't know. Maybe even Ollie Scarles left back. Maybe I don't know, but there's going to be quite a bit of change, I would imagine. Giving the likes of obviously Fabianski some minutes, giving the likes of whoever doesn't start centre backs on Saturday will probably start on Wednesday, and I think that will give more headaches to Lopetegui. So say we have a really good game against Liverpool as well. What's going to happen for the Brentford game? But that's great. Again, options. Budgie, everyone, mate. Don't forget to check out Budgie, Old School Hammers on a Wednesday night with Kieran, and also other YouTube channels that he appears on. Canoe Central and Bowen on the right. Yeah, I don't want Bowen up top. I'll be honest. He's going to end up there, but I prefer him on the wing. Just do. I don't know why, but I just do. Would love Folk to start and Ings to come on last 30. Yeah, sounds good to me. Oh my god! Apparently, there's a few people who haven't hit the like button. So don't forget to hit the like button. I'm never really good at doing that. But if you are around enjoying the content, enjoying what we do, please give it a like. It helps us tremendously out. Thank you very much for your continued patronage. Yeah, I mean I mean, what we got here? Early prediction for Liverpool, Irving to score. Well, I mean, yeah, the lesser spotted Andy Irving could play on Wednesday, I think, and knowing him, he'd probably fucking score. He's got a knack. Souček's got a knack. Probably Irving and Souček as a 2 in the midfield or something like that. But for me, Andy is one of those players who just seems to get on the end of things and makes things happen, and probably not the most glamorous player. But when you look at some of the clubs that were interested in, in the summer, Atalanta, people that were all interested in him. And I mean, the fact is, he's probably about 4th choice, 5th choice, maybe. So you go for those 2 midfield spots. So you got Alvarez, Rodriguez, Souček, or Paqueta, Souček, and then Andy. Poor old Andy Irving. I mean, there was talk of him going to Celtic in the summer as well, but didn't materialise. So clearly, either bids were made and rejected, or similarly, the club wants to keep him for maybe, offering something. I mean, he was in the matchday squad, and he. I mean, in many ways, there is similarities to Thomas Souček. He's quite a big lad. He's quite tall. He does tend to break into the box at the last minute. But obviously, he's got a bit about him. He's got more about him in my eyes in terms of he's younger. He's good on the ball. He's got a good shot on him. He's got a nice sort of distribution of passes. He could still be the. He still could be the sleeper signing. Again, it's going to take, and in reference further up about the, in reference in terms of the, what's it called? The, my brain's gone too much. About people getting injured and things happening. It could be one of those situations where a couple of injuries, and Andy's thrusted straight into there. And that would be a huge thing. A huge achievement for him as well. That's one of his dreams to play Premier League football. Everyone's talking to each other. There we go. Damien, hope you're well. Want to see Evan in a strong version of the side. 60 left footed, calm on the ball. Yep. Yeah. Might come to light if Paqueta gets banned. Possibly. I mean, that might be one of the reasons why he wasn't let go of or moved on in the summer. for that exact reason. I mean, we don't really know. As I said, we don't know what's happening with Paqueta. We just don't know. I think plans are in place. And as you said, he might play cover, to that. I mean, if Paqueta goes, then he's fourth choice for that CD, that sort of two midfield role. I think he's a player that we'd all get behind. Sort of like, and the Craig Dawson, sort of persona. And I really think it'd be he wouldn't let you down. He wouldn't let you down, that's for sure. Which would be great to see, and a great achievement for him to get some Premier League, but even if it's a minute. Do you know what I mean? He's made his dream, and who knows? Stranger things have happened at sea when it comes to players, and when we bought Craig Dawson, it was almost like a backup, and because of injuries and stuff, he got into the side, and then that was it. Couldn't get him out of the fucking side. Then he became Ballon Dawson, didn't he? All that happened. That was never. I guarantee that was never the intention. That was never the intention of him coming in and taking over a starting position in the centre back partnerships. But it did, and it worked, and I like it. Happy Amrat, hope you are well. Nice to see you. I want to see him play. If he's physically holds up, then he'll be fine. Rodriguez is struggling with the pace thus far. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think he's Rodriguez's his best game has been the game against Real Betis, which was he's used to playing against La Liga sides. So he, in terms of the pace, he's never going to be a pacey midfielder. As I said, I always say, Barcelona wanted him to be Busquets, their new version of Busquets, and Busquets wasn't a quick player at all. But he was a classy player, kept the ball well, did a job, and that's what Rodriguez can do easily. He's classy in the ball, doesn't tend to give the ball away. He reads the game well, and as long as you read the game well, the pace aspect, you should, if you're got enough sort of control of what's going on around you, shouldn't be that much of a navigating factor. Unfortunately, it is though, because if you're not reading the game, or the other players aren't reading the game, and you're playing catch up, then you would get done for pace quite a lot. And that's one thing that the old guard haven't got his pace. So what worries about me is we've got the likes of question mark over Emerson's availability for tomorrow. That to me is huge, because it then would involve bringing in Soufal against a Chelsea side who could probably put Sancho out there. Nweke, Jackson might drift out there. Some very, very quick players. Very, very quick players. So that worries me. It worries me more than the Falk injury, to be honest, because I think there's options there which are all viable options. For me, Soufal comes in, he'll do a great job, he'll get forward, but he'll get done for pace all the time, and that's what worries me. This could be the game for Antonio as a super sub against their weakest backline when they are effective, just not starting. As I said, for me, that's the role that Antonio should be employed in, is that impact signing, impact sub coming on. He said 30 minutes, 20 minutes to go, whether we're chasing the game or even if we're not, even if we're doing well, bringing him on just to give the defenders something else to think about, and mean that they have to hang back a little bit, the midfielders, because, him in proper beast mode, as I said, he's unplayable. Antonio in beast mode, I would say, is unplayable. But it's too often the case that we haven't had beast Antonio. And that's the issue. Until he crosses the pitch, crosses that line, and within the first 5 minutes, you don't know what type of game he's going to have. And unfortunately, his game really does impact on West Ham's game. If he plays well, West Ham play well. If he don't, we don't. And that to me is always the issue with him. Coming on with 30 minutes to go, he knows what he's got to do. whether it's running and chasing the ball, terrorising defence, just knocking some centre halves, some fullbacks around, then you know what you've got to do. More kitten than beast, indeed. But yeah, I mean, as I said, I think if he ended up being a super sub for us, he could still be here for 18 months. Do you know what I mean? Because the impact of that sort of energy on it, what he's got to expend on his body and the recovery, he's still got it in his locker. Still his locker. Busquets played with two maestros around him, not in a double pivot. Very good point. Happy would rather inform Nanny Dings. The thing about Granny Dings is, I think if we feed him, he will score. But we never fed him, and he always dropped off, and he always ended up playing as a 10. And he played to his strengths. As I said, that when the ball came across the Fulham game, that first touch, complete class first touch. That's a proper striker's first touch, and that's what set it all up. And you can't teach that. Antonio hasn't got that in his locker, but why would he? Because he was a right back, a right wing back. Then he was a right wing. Then he became became our Premier League top goal scorer of all time. You don't. That's what you don't teach. That's what you can't teach. It's instinctive, and he's still got it, and he's got it in his locker. And I think he should. You can see again why potentially he didn't go in the summer was because maybe no one put a bid in for him, but B, a Lopetegui side which is putting things on the plate for him said could we get double figures easily this year. I believe Lope is going to find the best lineup and setup, and it's going to work. 2 months from now, we'll be discussing how far we can go. Indeed, Brian. I think the trouble is, unfortunately, for West Ham and for a lot of other clubs, internationals breaks are just throwing any momentum out of the side. We've got 3 or 4 games now coming up, and then we've got international break again, and then we get going again. Then we've got an international break in November as well, and you can't build any momentum. But I agree. I think the pieces are starting to. You can see, as I said, there's certain pieces of the puzzle which are fixed in now. There's certain other pieces which haven't quite fitted in yet. It might be, he was asked about his style of football and how the players are reacting to it, and he was sort of being quite coy, saying, all the players are working really hard. It's, so it's not just. So in my eyes, it's not clicking just yet. And as I said, I've said it lots of times, it's almost like with the old guard, they come on the pitch. As soon as that whistle goes, they return to factory settings and they return back to playing as if they were playing under David Moyes. And you can almost see the likes of Max Kilman shouting, dragging people around. Rodriguez as well, sort of the newer members of the team. You can see they're trying to instigate this new way of, and it's almost like tunnel vision. They've almost been like hypnotized, like the likes of Souček and stuff have been hypnotized into how to play because they've had it the same way for the best part of 3-4 years. And it's only been, month and a half really. It's not the be all in the moment, but I agree. We've got 2 months. It's mid-November, indeed. It's crazy, isn't it? Oh, I mean, when after my birthday, it's 3 months of Christmas. The problem with us playing, the problem with playing in games will pass. His games will pass us by as he can't press. It happened with Skamaka. Very true. Very true. Very demure. Very mindful. How does Ings? I keep calling Granny Dings. How does Ings get into sides? He needs to score goals, and goal scoring wins games. So even if you're, if he could be ineffectual for 60 minutes, then pop up and bag a couple. If it's on a plate, he needs things assisted to him. He can't. He's not like a Paqueta or a Kudus who could just make something happen on their own. He's an old school striker. Now the pressing would only really happen, if the two of the three. So you say Bowen and Kudus. I don't like Kudus in the right, but or say Bowen, Somerville, and Kudus. Bowen, Kudus, Somerville. If they're pushing up and they're pressing, then you wouldn't necessarily see it as much. I know what you mean now. I do know what you mean. There are two sides of the game, on the ball, off the ball. It's very true. It's very true. We still need to give the head coach time. Did you cover the Red Bull stuff? We will be having. I did indeed, Happy Hammer, yesterday. I was on the first. Because it's lit only because I was on the website doing something and I saw the article pop up. So basically Red Bull and West Ham have formed a multi-year partnership to be the energy drink supplier to West Ham. However, my point was multi-year partnership. If you look at that would span over Betway not being shirt sponsors anymore. So naturally, someone they've already got in bed with someone, like Red Bull, it could be. There's naming rights on the stadium in the same way that apparently Everton have announced a strategic energy drink partnership with Red Bull as well. Everton are about to move into a new stadium as well. Stanley Park. Obviously, it might be in the Championship, but still. To me, there's going to have digiboard advertising. There's going to have available in the concessions, and I think it's the first rung on the ladder. Not to a takeover or anything like that, but Leeds, the shirt sponsors with Leeds now. I think that'd be a similar thing to West Ham. They're desperate to get into the Premier League. They've got Bundesliga, they've got the Austrian Bundesliga, they've got the Championship, and then the Premier League is the one they want. They got the MLS as well. So I wouldn't be surprised. Russ, are you saying that West Ham have been irreversibly moised? No, I just think it's like it's one that they've been hypnotised, and so they've got to come out that sort of hypnotic state, and it will take time. We don't go and play is playing with our crazy isn't a problem. I agree. After the Mark Hope, well from Sunny Ramsgate. If we changed the name, what would it be? I don't know. Depends who buys it. Who buys naming rights? That's what I mean. It could be the Red Bull Arena, couldn't it? Or the Red Bull Stadium. I mean, that's what they got MLS, haven't they? They got for the. I cut my finger the other day. I don't know how I did it. Anyway, I'll set that off. I mean, yeah, you've got the New York Red Bulls. They've got the Red Bull Arena. Could happen, and yeah, obviously West Ham would benefit financially a little bit out of it. After the first £4 million, it's then 50-50 between us and the LLDC, but that's still 4 million. It could be I don't know £10 million naming rights. I don't know. Just putting a number out of thin air. But the fact is that negotiation is already they're already in bed with them, albeit a strategic partnership. And I know we do lots of partnerships, PI Travel. We did it with Kissimmee, didn't we, last couple of years? Did it with a few others. But to me, it's just a bit of the fact that they made a big thing of it on the website as well. It was like the main sort of headline, like what Red Bull gives West Ham wings or something like that. He said on the actual. Just seems a bit too familiar for my liking. Maybe that's a cynic in me or whatever, but just see it could happen. Afternoon, Leslie. Dull and cloudy Brittany. Nick, hope you're all right. Daddy Russ, indeed. It's not as if we dominated the ball in anywhere other than our own back line. I want the centre to be able to create space for the likes of Bowen, Kudus and Somerville. Very true. Yeah. I mean, if you're not going to utilise them as adding to that as a 5, like with Duran, for example, or a speedy forward, like, I don't know, Mamamush or something like that, then you want them to be able to create, but also be able to bring players in, so someone like Fulkrug or even Antonio, but, they will always come on 1 or 2 defenders. That's why I always like Andy Carroll. Always would come on 2 defenders, which means there must be an overlap somewhere. There must be someone not being marked properly. Red Bull Stadium, yeah, possibly. I can see Kilman being. I think he could do, Mark. I think a couple more performances, and I think he could easily break into that England squad in time for the next. I mean, looking around everyone else, anyone else really shined out? I haven't looked at the. I mean, he's. I would say, he's been the most. Integral is the wrong word, but the one that's just worked more than any of the others. He's come into the side. He's flourished. I think it's fair to say pretty much every game he's played, if not most of the games, he's ended up being, man of the match or one of the men in the match. He's one of the best performers. Against Fulham, no one played really well, to be honest. But he played all right, but no one played well. I just think there's a lot more to come from him as well. When he finally gets a settled centre half partner as well, which will be Todibo eventually. I think you'll see a better understanding from the two. They can work on it, and then we'll see even better Max Kilman. We'll talk to each other. The Red Bull Arena sounds good. I quite like the name. That I think it sounds right. Possession stats are point as if, like Fulham, you don't manage a shot on target in 45 minutes. True, but they can be seen as an indication, Damien, in terms of how a change in style, perhaps. I don't know. I mean, the first half, I pulled up the stats between the first half and the second half, and it was clearly night and day. First half was very defensive, a lot of tackles, a lot of shots, a lot of blocks and things like that. Not many touches or fouls in the opposition final third. Second half, complete reverse. Not a lot of tackles, not a lot of those types of things, but constantly being fouled in the final third, touching the final third, passes, shots on target, corners, all that type of stuff. This might be the first step to developing a relationship to position. Exactly, Nick. That's the way I saw it. That's exactly the way I saw it. This is the energy, because we were doing stuff with Prime, weren't we? I know they're not the energy drink, but you're already working with Prime, so sure you could go from Prime hydration to Prime energy. But no, to bring in Red Bull as the official energy drink supplier to the team, I totally agree. Week off from work, so that's good. Enjoy. Surprised West Ham have got a sponsor. We did have one, didn't we? Or not a quick? Didn't we have an exchange? Was Scope Markets? Were they an exchange? They went out of business, didn't they? What was it? We were one of the. We had our Pari FX. You remember? Who was it? We had our Pari FX trading. They went out of business as well. Yeah, I'm surprised like Coinbase or something like that. But I mean, we do get advertising from crypto exchanges. You see them on the digiboards, but not so on the shirt sponsors. Red Bull Shit Stadium, perfect, Mark. I'm sure they'll sign that one off. Would you risk to the libido? It's Todibo anyway, so it didn't work that. I wouldn't risk him. I'd play him. Where's the risk? The risk is you play Mavropanos. That's a risk as well. For me, I think Todibo is nice and quick, and I think you probably need that against Chelsea. If you're only playing at the back, then it doesn't matter who leads the line, so you can play Antone. So you can play Antone. Been the same since pre-season. Fine with the ball in first phase, still poor second and third. Okay. Could we ever think of having our own built stadium? Would take a lot of money, mate, wouldn't it? Take a lot of money, and it would take someone coming in and investing that money. At the moment, we're still on a cracking deal from a financial perspective. We're not. You look at someone like. I mean, the fact is, Everton building a stadium could have gotten relegated last year with the points deduction, because that's where the money came from, which meant they didn't comply with FFP. They could have gotten relegated. That is a hell of a statement, but it could have easily. Spurs are in a massive hole financially as well. £1 billion or something like that they paid in the stadium. So that has to be paid off eventually. If they don't get into like Champions League or something like that, they would have to. It would take, as I said, it would take someone coming in, a new owner, and then investing all that money. Would they want to do it straight away? Probably not. Wouldn't think so. Particularly with the price of land around East London as well. But then again, they could recoup it but it would mean getting the London Stadium in their pocket, selling that land for development, and then moving out to, I don't know, somewhere West Ham area. I don't know. Would be nice. it would be nice eventually, wouldn't it? I mean, it would be your own. Even with people when they rent accommodation, it's not really their own, so they can do stuff, minor cosmetic changes. But until they got the keys full time, they're not going to get it, are they? So I think it's we'll see. We'll see. I think they need to start Ings tomorrow. We'll wait and see. Red Bull probably one of the few companies that will pay or equal then gamble into a shirt, and not many want to pay as much as they do. Indeed, very true. I think they have a history of sponsoring sports teams. Obviously, F1. How much money they're playing at F1? Fuck's sake. Two. In essence, two teams really. Again, we'll wait and see. I mean, as I said, it's not something that's going to happen in the next week, but it might. When Betway finishes their 25 season, they finish the shirt sponsorship. Then you could look maybe to someone like. I mean, it would make sense if you're a West Ham's commercial side, and you're looking to get people who are selling, to bring in to sell shirt sponsorship to. The first thing you would do is talk to the people you already work with, because it's easier to upgrade an existing client than it is to bring in a brand new one. Not just from a time perspective, but financial perspective in terms of leads and meetings and all that sort of groundwork you've got to do. Something might not pay off. Someone like Red Bull already invested in West Ham in a way. So naturally, it seems they want to, if they've had a good experience, continue that investment further. Makes sense. How about the Turin, or maybe just the Caffeine Stadium, the Caffeine Cathedral will be held for Anfield, but one tomorrow. Great shout, actually. You're probably right. How much do you reckon a can of Red Bull will cost? I'm going for £4.50. Quite possibly. See how we go. I think I have the players do well. I just need to see it in practice. Yeah, I think we all do, mate. I'd play Tolibo. Mav costs us a few. He does. Yeah, he does, Ken. So it's whether they take the risk. I mean, it's a risk whatever you do, isn't it? Who plays alongside him? How do you think we will line up tomorrow? Well, we'll have to wait till the predicted 11 show tomorrow, about 10:30. Will it give the players wings? Well, as someone said, it gave us Dannings, but it doesn't give us wins. We could play a 3-4-2-1, then Wan-Bissaka left back, and the three boys at CDF. Maybe. I mean, again, I didn't even think about that. That's about a 12th version we could pick. That's what do need a bit of energy on the pit. That was my assumption. That's why they haven't been having their Red Bull, and I've had my Red Bull today, and I'm flagging. I don't drink tea or coffee, and I'm flagging today already, and it's only 20 past 1. I've got next player night at Dagenham Redbridge tonight to go to as well, and then I've got to be up bloody early to get to West Ham. So what we call the club, no, you wouldn't call it anything. No, the club would stay the same. It would be the stadium. 10:30, I would already be in the pub. Well, I'll be in I'd have already been at West Ham for 2 hours then, to be honest. Every time I see him have the ball, I need to crap myself. He does have that way, doesn't he? He does that very similar to Zuma. When Zuma was on the ball, you were a little bit worried when he tried to do stuff. Build it in Manston Airport. Where's Manston Airport? Do you mean Stansted Airport? Near me. Oh, you can just walk in then. Yeah, I mean, look, it's not a big knock apparently according to Lopetegui, but we don't know. That is always Leslie. And if you don't miss any of our shows, just subscribe and hit the bell notification. We'll have Hammer's headlines today. We'll have the morning show, very early morning show tomorrow. Plus, we'll have the starting 11 show, 12:30 kickoff. Watch along with Anton. Then afterwards, the highlight show, myself and Anton after the game. Always. And if you're not a Patreon, but if you're a channel member, you get more exclusive content. You get your weekly podcast shows. We'll have an ex-player night next month, and every month going forward, we'll have an ex-player night just exclusively for the channel members. So there's loads of stuff you get there. Just saying, Seka could come to the Premier League. Well, exactly, Red Bull, but no, he didn't go to Arsenal, did he? And decided to stay at yeah, he's at Salzburg, isn't he? But yeah, maybe we could share a few players. We could have Rom. I like Rom. Good right back he is. They didn't do too well yesterday. Was it 2-1? They lost in the last minute, wasn't it? Atletico Madrid. As dumb as this, I'd even prefer Kudus right wing back over Soufal to someone who can play. Wow. No, they wouldn't pass to each other. They were too busy running past each other. Yeah, that's the trouble. Yeah, never gonna happen. We did have Antonio right wing back at one point. Do you remember? Old Slav in his wisdom. Look, keep an eye on the channel. We've got loads of stuff coming on as always on the lead up to the match, and then reviews of the match as well. And yeah, thanks for joining me. Don't forget, if you do like what we do, give it a like. Just give it a like now. It costs nothing. Helps us with the channel engagement and all that good stuff. And until next time, take care. Stay safe. Stay warm. Stay humble. Have a great rest of the day. Look who's coming right at the end. Doddsy, feeling about tomorrow. 3 words to Mighty Hammers. We'll let them have a goal. Very kind of you. Much love. Bye-bye.